There is no definition of synodality. They've intentionally stripped it of any meaning. Hey everybody, Michael Matt, just outside the Vatican Gardens here in Rome for the Synod on Synodality. You know, I just wanted to stop for a moment. We just ran into a couple of the arch-modernist architects of this thing. I'm not going to name any names down here. Something struck me about this Synod, because everyone is talking about the fact that the definition of synodality is just so vague, and why won't they answer the question? We've seen it all week here, where they're trying desperately to answer the question, what is synodality? Well, synodality is a process. Synodality is journeying. Synodality is walking together. None of it makes any sense, right? So you think, okay, are they confused? Do they really not know what synodality is? Some of them don't, genuinely don't. So just going along with it. Synodality, yeah, you know, whatever. But the Cardinal yesterday, in yesterday's press conference we quoted last night, he started getting to it when he said, you know, the Synod is not here to provide any answers, any concrete answers. This is exactly what he said.
The Synod, therefore, I would say, is not about giving specific answers to concrete questions, but much rather about a whole process of conversion within the Church.
They say they were thinking about the other and all of that because they have this sort of UNICEF Caritas, you know, promotional video in their heads going all the time about poor people who don't have enough money. But what they're not thinking about are the other impoverished people in the world. Now we're not talking about poor people. We're talking about billions of spiritually impoverished, morally impoverished people for whom the Catholic Church used to be this grand light on the hill that the whole world could see, you know? So when they talk about synod and the synodal process and journey and all this stuff, these are men who are intentionally removing the concrete answer that the whole world needs. They are removing the moral authority of the Church. All they need, these revolutionaries, at this point, 60 years after the close of Vatican II closed right here in this town, and from then on, it's been a nightmare. It's been the winter, right? The deepest, darkest winter for the Catholic Church. So all they need now to sort of finish this off is a process. An ill-defined, ridiculous process that everybody gets to pretend, oh, I know what the process is. I mean, I'm not kidding here. I'm not trying to be funny. This is what they're doing. So there's this idea of the gnosis. We know what the process is. We know what journeying is. We know what actually synodality means. But see, none of them do, because there is no definition of that. There is no definition of synodality. They've intentionally stripped it of any meaning. Because you know what they want? The other night we talked about the tables, right? What they want is everything to be on the table. And that's what the Synod on the Synodality is. That's his diabolically clever agenda. Everything is on the table. Anything you can think of in the moral realm. Anything. Divorce, remarriage, homosexual unions, homosexual marriage eventually. Of course, that's going to eventually be on the table. Right now they're saying, oh yeah, no, we're just blessing gay couples. We're not blessing gay unions. There's a big difference there, right? Do you think for 1 second that the world recognizes a difference between blessing gay unions and blessing gay couples? Of course not. These guys are barely able to buy a dozen eggs right now. They're barely able to buy a gallon of gas. The whole world is collapsing economically, right? It's collapsing into war and into economic chaos. You think they're drawing distinctions between the Vatican's idea of blessing couples versus blessing marriages or blessing gay unions officially? No. And that's a great example of how the synodal process works. Just get it on the table. Just get people discussing it. Because then the whole world goes, well, I guess nothing is carved in stone then, right? Even the Vatican is over there discussing what used to be sins that cried to heaven for vengeance, what used to be things that were unthinkable. Why? Why were they unthinkable? Because the point and purpose of the Church is not social uplift. It's not first and foremost to go out and provide some sort of life coaching or to save the planet or anything else. The whole purpose of the Church, teach, govern, and sanctify. That's its job. That's its role. Feeding the hungry and clothing the naked and giving drink to the thirsty, these are the things that the Church did in order for people to participate in the spiritual life, in the charitable in the Beatitudes, in the works of mercy, spiritual and corporal works of mercy, in order to save your soul, not just to become a community outreach center that helps people that don't have enough cash, right? They've stripped it of its purpose. They've stripped those works of mercy, what our Lord says, if you do this to the least of my brothers, you do it to me. They've stripped it of its reason, and the Synod is a great example of how all they talk about now is sort of the temporal solutions to things. They're not going to fix anything. They talk about climate change, they talk about all that, but they don't talk about what like I said, the starvation, the global spiritual starvation that's going on right now. And that to me is the big takeaway from the Synod on Synodality. They're not trying to define any of this stuff, because what they want the world to see is that the Catholic Church no longer has 10 commandments. 10 suggestions, fine. The Catholic Church no longer has precepts of the church. You don't have to go to confession. You don't have to go to Mass. You don't have to do your Easter duty. None of that's even spoken about anymore. Sin is not spoken about here at all. Abortion is not spoken about here at all. I haven't heard the life thing come up once. And for the first, even in our country, for the first time in 40 years, you got people going to the polls with politicians who are not defending the babies, who are not defending the lives of the unborn. I'm not trying to get back into that controversy. I'm just saying, it's the first time any of us have seen that in my lifetime. I've never seen where the defense of the babies is no longer being a political thing, being something they're campaigning on. We will save the babies. Nope, gone, not there. And I'm not criticizing them. I'm criticizing these guys. Because in their Synod on Synodality, everybody's gotten the impression that the moral and spiritual issues they're on the table. I don't know what the church teaches anymore. It doesn't really matter. So that's, I don't know. I just feel like as we finish out this Synod, the document's coming at the end of the week, yet don't expect, the Cardinal was quite right, don't expect any hard answers. There aren't going to be any, because there aren't supposed to be any. Do you know why? Because that would suggest hard answers, solutions, that would suggest objective truth. And the Synod on Synodality does not believe in objective truth. Certainly not the truth of Jesus Christ, right? Certainly not the truth of extra ecclesia nulla salva, that outside of this church, there is no salvation. They don't believe that anymore. So the whole point now is to dismantle all of the old institutions of Catholicism, including the moral integrity of Catholicism, the moral authority of the church, and just get everybody to sit around and have conversations at round tables and talk until the whole world gets the message loud and clear. Loud and clear. There is no truth. There's no objective truth. Your truth is your truth, my truth is my truth, and they're all just fine. And this then leads to the brotherhood of man that they've been trying to achieve for a long time. And the thing they had to get out of the way in order to set up this brotherhood of man, this new world order, is right behind me. The Catholic Church. They had to get it out of the way. And the Synod right now is simply going to gradually euthanize it, put it to sleep, say nothing, define nothing, just make it become irrelevant. And then the devil wins. Of course, it's not going to happen. They're not going to succeed. There's too much pushback. But that's what the Synod, in my opinion, is all about. God, help us all. Keep praying for the church. Michael Matherin, TV from Rome. We'll see you tomorrow.